Light as a feather, stiff as a board. Light as a feather, stiff as a board.
We are the weirdos, mister.
Black as night, erase death from our sight. White as light, mighty hectate make it right.
I myself am strange and unusual.
Cast a circle, spark some incense, and grab a cup of tea, because it's time for the Cousins Coven podcast. I'm Sharon.
And this is Wendy. Welcome back to the Coven, you guys. We're so happy to have you here.
We are, and my cat just decided to jump up on the microphone. Hi, Fox. So that was a great way to start things off. I already feel like I've been in such a great mood this week compared to last time we were recording. I don't know, awesome. Everything about the Corona life has kind of become more of a normal thing where I'm less freaking out. It's the new normal, and it's kind of like this hibernation time, which is just allowing me to find balance, which was like I really needed. I feel like last Sunday I was kind of like Jack Torrance from The Shining, and just like all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, like going crazy with bedhead. And now I'm like happy with bedhead, so it's all good.
Nice. It's funny that you mentioned balance. I've been getting angel number 6 all week.
Okay, what does 6 mean?
All week. It basically means you need balance in your life.
Oh, okay.
And so I was like, I've been craving balance, and I think I need just one more week to get into the swing of it. I'm not quite where you're at yet.
I feel like I've been working towards balance for months. So it's something about the shift in Corona kind of allowed me to find it, which is really weird.
That's good. It's good though.
This whole shift, I feel like it is going to shift. Woo. Yep. Cat. I don't know if you can hear my cat going crazy. It's going to be just shifting, I don't know, the dynamic of everything, like the way people live their lives from now on.
Right. Will be interesting. I was having a conversation with my kids, and we were talking about, do you think when this is all over, if it will go back to the way things were, like, or people will have changed and then slowly revert to old habits? I'm not sure how it's going to go.
Right. I mean, it feels like it's a global thing, which in my lifetime, it's been, I don't think that's ever happened, a giant global event that's changed everyone. Like at least this generation who's going through it, they're probably going to be more germaphobes.
Right.
I'm hoping that people, when like everything goes back to normal, it's not like people will have a fear of going out. I think people will be like excited and relieved.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to get back out into nature, like actually going to the beach and maybe hiking in the mountains and that kind of thing.
Yeah, but like all that being said though, because of coronavirus, I have been reading articles that say there is a surge in UFO sightings and reportings. I don't know if it's because we're more on this chill vibe of like, you know, staying to yourself, staying home, kind of being calm. Like people are maybe just sitting outside in their backyards and watching the skies kind of thing. So people from California all the way to Mexico, they've been reporting seeing a straight line of UFOs in the sky that are changing colors. And they even have different videos, and they look like they're just kind of orbs, but they're all aligned in a straight line. And so when I was reading this article, I ended up like clicking on a link to this website that listed all these UFO sightings in chronological order of like date and time. And I just went down this massive rabbit hole before we started recording, and I shot the link over to you, and I feel like you went down a massive like rabbit hole. And there's a lot of sightings going on.
Yeah, a lot. And it's interesting. The website is well put together. I feel like they were able to break it down by state, which is very helpful. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. I mean, because when I looked at the California sightings to see if other people saw the same thing, I was seeing the exact same descriptions going on. Like, oh yeah, I saw a straight formation of UFOs, and like when I was watching the video, this guy speaking in Spanish in Mexico, just like recording the lights, it sent like chills through my body where I was just like, oh, this is real. Like I know I believe in aliens, but sometimes when you see it, it just kind of sends chills through your body, like undeniable. You know, that's when that switch just kind of clicks in my brain where I'm like, okay, I've gotten too far. Like I am a true believer. But I don't know. Do you ever feel like that sometimes?
A little bit, yeah.
I don't know, for you, when you see those kind of footages, do you feel like it's proof, or what are your thoughts?
I have to really look at it. Like it's kind of strange. I'm very skeptical about it at first because I want to make sure that it's not mistaken identity. Like maybe somebody doesn't know that, oh, that's a military object. Oh, that's a drone. So I'm always like watching them over and over and over again so that my mind can try to grasp what's actually going on. Oh my gosh, now my dog's barking.
I'm going to see if I can find that video to show you because I don't know why I don't have it.
I would love to see it.
I sent you this video link so you could see.
From Daily Star.
Oh, are they like bogus?
Sometimes. Let's see.
Okay, I love how you're already reeling it in. Because I didn't really, they are not on my radar. They are like full of pop-ups, which I do hate.
Yeah, I hate that too. When was this again?
Okay, so it just says March 31st, and I thought that it was 2020, but then I was like, I need to clarify that, and I tried, and I could not get it clarified.
Okay.
Because they did not list the year on this link, and then I tried even looking California UFOs 2020, and I just got different things and then different things, so I kept just switching directions of my research.
I do think that this is a very pretty thing, but there's 3 possibilities because I can see from the roof lines of the places where exactly. Oh, wait, what's this one? It just goes from video to video.
Yeah, so
it's the same one.
One of them's the guy in Mexico and one's the one in California.
Okay. So the one in Mexico is different than the one in California. I mean, they're different. It doesn't look to be the same type of thing. So the one in Mexico, I felt looked like it could be those candles in a bag.
What? You think it's just floating candle lights?
I have seen floating candle lights.
I'm so disappointed right now. Are you kidding me?
I'm not saying that's what it is.
Wouldn't they be moving up though? Like these are pretty steady.
No. You know what's funny is that I thought I was witnessing a UFO on the 4th of July one year, and I was really excited. I was like, granted, had 2 margaritas, but I was staring out the window and I was like, what is this? What is this? And kids come and look and they're like, okay. And then it's just going in a straight line because that's the way the wind was going. And then as it got closer, I could see that it was just a candle in a bag. Floating candle.
Like, so no,
but it was in a straight line. Yeah. And I've seen videos of candles in a bag many time of my years of looking at UFO pictures. Now the second one from California, which looks nothing like the one in Mexico, in my opinion, I felt like that one could be military flares, but the way that they sparkled didn't remind me of that. It's hard to say. The one in California looked a little bit more realistic to me of what could potentially be some sort of orb-like UFO.
You just crushed my whole dream.
No, but I'm saying that the one in California, I feel like could be
something.
Could be legit. Yeah.
Okay.
Could be legit. But the one in Mexico did not appear to be that way to me.
Okay. Well, I mean, I am never expecting you to be the one to bring me down to reality because I was like, aliens are real. It's like the Phoenix Lights, but happening in my time. And they're watching us as we all die of corona. And my mind was just like going and going, like thinking, like, what do the aliens have to do with corona? What do they think of us? Are they going to help us? You know, what would alien life? Would they even be concerned with a pandemic? Like, I'm sure at their level, maybe they're like, oh, good, they're dying off. We hate this human species.
I don't think they're saying that. I mean, they could be. I don't know.
I'm thinking more along the lines of like what Stephen Greer will say in his UFO kind of docs. He'll talk about how like the UFO is trying to shut us down because we use like the nuclear bombs and things like that. And they look at humanity as more of like a destructive race. So for us to be meeting some sort of destructive natural force, maybe that's like our comeuppance kind of thing. So that's where my mind was going.
Right. I get that.
Yeah, so UFOs. But what did you find on that site that kind of stuck out to you, the one that we were looking at?
So initially, of course, I went and I wanted to look local. So I pulled up Oregon and saw that on December 23rd and December 24th, there were quite a few, or I should say December 20, a little, probably between the 23rd and 25th, there were several sightings, and they were all saying the same thing. These kind of lights and white lights in a formation that sometimes turned orange. They were going in one direction super fast across the sky, and then they shot up into the sky. The lights. There were anywhere between 5 and 30, depending on which direction you were looking into the sky.
Whoa.
So imagine seeing 30 lights all at once. So on the 23rd alone, there were 44 sightings all the way from Bosnia to Canada to all across the United States, all over.
There's definitely a lot in Oregon for sure. And like, I like how this website, it'll list what the phenomenon is, like the shape of it. And a lot of them are just saying like light.
Right. Or they listed Starlink, which if you don't know what that is, that's those satellites that are up in the sky from SpaceX. So I wanted to check and do some research on for December 23rd, 2019 and see, was there something going on with SpaceX? If everybody was seeing the same thing, what was going on? And so I looked, and SpaceX didn't have anything going on at that time. I looked at NASA. They didn't have anything going on. I looked at everything. And then I just decided to do a search and see what was going on in the sky. And we did have approximately 5 asteroids flying close to Earth around that time period.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that's what those people were seeing at all, but science would say that that was probably what they were seeing.
Mm-hmm. So I just kind of wanted to call out a few of these encounters because they're saying similar things to the videos that you just looked at, where they're saying they're spaced out approximately like 50, I don't know if that's 50 feet apart, 50 yards apart, evenly spaced, moving over Grant Pass in Oregon. There's people who see spheres moving in alignment, moving faster than an aircraft. This other person says in Missouri he saw 8 to 12 lights. They were green lights in the sky above his house in Auburn, and they were dancing around the sky. So a lot of different accounts. This guy says he sees 25 lights appearing near South Horizon, brightening and then fading away. Where is this one? This one's in Oregon, John Day, Oregon. So, you know, when I was looking at this website, I was just kind of going case by case and looking at it and like, this is so fun and cool. And like, I don't know why I just believe it. But then at the same time, my mind got skeptical thinking, well, anyone can type in anything like and just post it here. There's really no proof. But then when I showed you and you text me back like, yo, check out the 23rd, I was like, oh, that's how you do it. You have to like go off of a bunch of people, and how does it all like coincide together and really work to build a case?
Right. Exactly.
So
I thought it was interesting. Yeah, there was one that was in Washington, not that far from Portland, Oregon, and they said that their house faces towards Portland, and they could see these lights, and it looked like they came out of Portland.
That just sounds like a club, like getting down.
Right.
Club lights. I don't know what they mean by coming out of Portland. So they would have to be a low flying craft?
Right. That at first they were low flying, and then they went up higher. But to me, I was like, well, Portland does have a military Air Force base up there. But for everybody to see this at the same time, that was the other thing I forgot to mention. On December 23rd, it was at 6:30 p.m. our time. And that's the same time that people were seeing it all across the world.
Yeah.
So all the reports were around the same time.
That is really awesome. That's
Yeah.
another good point to make. I was noticing that too. So if you guys want to get lost in this rabbit hole, it's the National UFO Reporting Center website. I'll link it down below. It's NUFORC, I believe. Yeah, we'll link it below if you want to go either report something or just read what is going on, because it's fascinating to think what's happening in the skies. Like, I don't really see the skies that often myself with my life. I'm always looking at the TV or my job. Like, I rarely am outside just looking up, and I know that's a tragedy, especially as a witch. Like, go outside.
Right.
But really, my only outside time is like when I'm taking the dog out or just having some backyard time in the day. But rarely is it in the full view of a sky where I would really see any kind of lights. I think you're on it. You see the lights more. I think you have a better view of it too in your backyard.
I do have a pretty good view. Plus, I do spend a lot of time in the summertime just sitting outside staring up at the sky. So
that sounds nice. Like you're just hanging out on that stoop, relaxing.
Yeah, just chilling and usually listening to music on my headphones and just relaxed. And I love that kind of time, especially in the summer.
It's going to be a good summer. I feel like right now we're entering the spring. It's a new season.
Yeah.
Like a really weird Corona spring, but we're making it through.
We'll get there.
Well, I mean, as far as UFOs go, I know that we love talking about like how UFOs tie into cryptids. And I know you want to talk about cryptids today and like different places that they're hanging out in and the different legends and folklore. So did you want to kick things off with like a cryptid tale?
So we do love our cryptids. I was looking just at this list that I found online on Atlas Obscura. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but they have just a lot of weird, strange articles. And so it made me want to look at the tales a little bit closer. And so I came across this one that I thought was really interesting called Old Ned. And he can also be called the Lake Utopia monster. He kind of hangs out in New Brunswick, Canada. He's about 20 feet in length. He's got a really large head. He's kind of this red-brown color. He's said to travel back and forth. They've been able to actually catch his migration pattern. So they said he goes between the lake and Atlantic Ocean every 3 to 5 years. And I think that's because it breeds during that time. And
is this like a hairy, like anthropomorphic creature?
No, it's an amphibian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's just lives in the water only. And they say that it kind of has these sharp teeth. It's got this large mouth. And they thought maybe scientific wise that it could be an oarfish or maybe a gigantic eel. But when I was comparing the pictures of them, to me, it didn't look like anything like that. Because they did have some pictures online, just like character drawings. And so I was like looking back at the eyewitness accounts, and it just made it seem like science is getting behind that there's an actual animal there, but they haven't been able to get close enough to it to see exactly what it is. And so I think it's something that maybe they have never seen before.
That sounds really cool. I have definitely heard of things before where it's like tied to the folklore of the area. Like I think it is in Japan. There's this spirit newt or creature or salamander that they were all talking about in legends, and how like it would lure you to the water and take you in and kill you. And then eventually like people discovered this giant like newt salamander creature, and they're like, this is what we think all those legends were based off of, like just something natural. So I wonder if it is just like an actual creature like you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, it could be.
Yeah, something that used to exist.
Yeah, like maybe it's extinct now, supposedly, or on it, or maybe it should be on the endangered species list or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. There's so many unknown creatures. Like, who's to say really what's out there?
Right. Did you have one too?
I actually have 3. I figured
Okay.
so I am so into this next case.
Okay.
This one I wanted to share with you is the case of the Owlman, which already sounds kind of creepy. This took place in Cornwall, England, and the first sighting was on April 17th, 1976. This was an eyewitness account of two girls, June and Vicky Melling. So I assume they're sisters. And they were really frightened because they saw a huge feathered bird-like man hovering over the church. And this church was Ma Nan Church, and it was actually on a ley line, just to add to that paranormal like essence of the whole tale. And they just saw him hovering over there, and he flies off, and the girls freaked out. And I guess the family cut their holiday short, but they ended up sketching a picture, and that is available online to look at, or I can link it down below. But it kind of just looks like maybe a He-Man villain, like owl head guy with feet anthropomorphic like, and then just wings. So I look at him and I think very much like the Mothman. And so I looked at the time frame of the Mothman, and this was 10 years after the Mothman whole thing went down. And they're kind of linked in the way that the stories also have paranormal things tied to the entire event. So like in Cornwall, that spring of 76, the weather went through these extreme shifts of like hot and cold, and the animals started behaving strangely. There were apparently reports of packs of dogs, cats, and birds just terrorizing people. And that's like a really brief sentence I was able to find on the situation. Like, I think it's so vague. Does that mean that birds are like flying down and attacking you? Like, that sounds horrifying. And packs of dogs? Like,
Yeah.
So I really want more information on that. But more importantly, there was also a bunch of UFOs going on in that like 2-week time frame. Fox, why are you talking? Not during story time. I feel like a diva. Okay. So I don't know what your thoughts are on like an anthropomorphic owl type man and how it ties into Mothman, but what do you think on that story?
I think that'd be interesting if those were linked together, or what if it really was the Mothman, but they're just describing him differently.
Yeah, or he had like a change in helmet, because, you know, my theory, he's just a dude with a helmet kind of thing. Yeah, and like a lot of synchronicities. I think it would be weird too, like to have these two events be a decade apart. And it was always said too, like the Mothman liked having witnesses. So it sounds like this bird guy wanted those girls to see him. What he wants, it's kind of unclear. I didn't see any kind of tragedy or anything going on, like the bridge collapse, you know, in
I was gonna ask, was there a bridge nearby?
Oh, that Cornwall bridges, that's something to look up. So we'll have to Google that church, the Ma Nan Church, and see if there's a bridge. That's a good question. But like when I started researching the Owlman, it really was just this like unpulling a long thread, because there's so many weird things tied to owls. So there's all these cases of owls and just synchronicities in general happening for people. And I can say with my own experiences, that's definitely happened with me. And like having owls come out at night and hooting and stuff when we call them, and just being like coming out of nowhere kind of thing and just freaking you out. There's also like a ton of different legends about owls, which are really creepy, like the lechuza, which has large red eyes, and it appears to be like a humanoid winged creature. And all these weird paranormal events happen whenever someone would see a lechuza. This is like an urban legend told usually like in the Mexican heritage. It's supposedly a spirit of a woman, or just like a woman like witch who can turn into a giant owl at will. And it's said that she'll like fly around terrorizing people, can steal souls. Like it's a really bad omen if she's coming to you. Like she's gonna mess your shit up. So like people have a lot of fear in them. So they're like half bird, half human, and like there's these YouTube videos too that you can see where people are like chasing down the lechuza and they're like going after this owl. And I just want to say, is there a witch who will teach me how to turn into an owl? Because I'm down.
Oh, that's so funny.
I don't know if you would be down to shapeshift, but I think we should do it.
I would be. Yeah, good. I would be totally into it.
Go terrorize some people. Just be like, hey, I want give me your Oreos, and they're just camping. That's the kind of trouble I'd get into. But another one that talks about this very similar like transformation legend. There's I think you say Stikinis, a legend from the Seminole folk culture or folklore. They are humans by day, but then at night they can actually turn into owls, but other animals as well. And it says in the legends that they have to vomit up their internal organs, hang them on a tree or just somewhere hidden, and then at night they'll fly around and they can feast on human hearts. I'm so sorry for my cats. Oh my gosh. So the Stikini, they say that they can fly around at night. They'll feast on human hearts, and if they see someone who's like outside sleeping, they'll get their soul basically through their mouth, so kind of like a dementor. And then in order to turn back into a human by daytime, they have to go back and eat their own organs that they hung on a tree. So just like really, really eerie. And it's said that if you hear that crying of the owl at night, it's like an omen of death. So like, I know I joke about like seeing the owls and like how cool they are, but honestly, anyone who ever has or whatever story like talks about them, it's always tied to fear and this ominous feeling. And like the one time that I heard the owl like answer our call at night when we were doing witchcraft, it honestly scared me. Like there was this presence of otherworldliness and like something that like you need to respect, and it does have this like fear kind of thing about it.
I wonder if owls are just not really native to Earth.
Like there's something
I
spiritual.
know that's really
No, I like it.
I know that's way out there, but I'm just saying, what if, because you hear all the Native American legends of them as well, not just the Hispanic or not just the South American culture. So I feel like everywhere has some sort of reverence and respect for the owl,
right,
in some way.
And like definitely a fear thing going on where like there's something otherworldly and they can have power over you. So I don't know if it's their eyes or it's the fact that they're like such a quiet predator of the night. Like they just seem to distill fear. There's also that whole thing where they're tied to the aliens because that fourth kind of stuff and like going on. So overall, it seems like owls are pretty creepy to deal with.
They are. You said you've seen one or no?
So no, this is the weird thing. Like the night we were doing witchcraft under the full moon, we were talking about how owls were connected to my friend and their like life path and always popping up these weird moments. We tried to call one out and think we were just like, we can do this. It'll come to us, this little spirit guide. And like just when we had given up like being quiet and zen, like waiting for the moment, we kind of let our guard down. We're just talking. We hear a really close like owl hooting. That sounds so silly. But like he was like, "Whoo!" and we both just looked at each other and grabbed each other, and our faces were like in fear. It wasn't like, "Oh, cool, he came." We were like, oh, "He's here!" Like it was just something super scary about the energy that brought. Because it was like it went from just us under the moon to like there's something else here and it's otherworldly. Like I can't really explain it. I can't really explain it. I feel like you had to be there to get the freaked out feeling. Maybe you would have been calm because you're usually calm. I totally forget about you. Like I'm the one who's freaking out, ghost hunting, and you're like, "It's cool. It just pulled your arm. Don't worry."
Yeah, I probably would have, been all feeling love or something. I don't know.
That's funny. Yeah. So I actually didn't see it. The other instance I had is like that same friend who has the owls always following her. When I was coming home from her house one night, she was like, "Hey, be careful. It's late. I want you to drive safely." And I was like, "I will." And then like when I got home, I heard the owl again right by my house. And it's like the only 2 times in my life I've ever heard owls were always around her. So I felt like that was some sort of spirit connected to her and her like life path. So there's something about them owls and them cryptid men, man. What's your next cryptid that you have?
So I was going to talk about the Ohio Mellon Heads. Now, at first I thought, does this mean that they're just these tiny little watermelons, roaming around? No, that's not what this was, but I felt like it needed a mention anyways. So in the early 1960s, people started seeing these strange looking people. They were pale in color. They had gigantic heads. So they'd just be driving down the road in Ohio in this place called Chardon, Ohio. Chardon. I'm sorry. I don't know how to pronounce it. Anyways, they were driving down the road kind of near where some forest area is. And they just saw these people, like I said, white skinned, big giant heads, pointy ears, yellow eyes. And they were like, what's this going on? And then they just kept seeing these people, and they would find these reports of that these beings or whatever, they would go to people's homes where they had like livestock and stuff, and they would kill the livestock, pull them inside out and hang them up.
Oh my God.
Trees. Mm-hmm. And
That's
so,
so creepy.
yeah, as time went on, the other tales started coming out about them, and it turned out the earliest of the tales happened like in the late 1800s, and they're still happening today. And some people think that these were just people who were part of government testing, like at a government testing facility somewhere in a different state. And whatever testing they did on them made these people deformed. And they decided to drop them in the middle of nowhere in this part of Ohio that not very many people are at. So there's this conspiracy theory wrapped around it to say that these are just humans that have been subject to many, many tests of the
Oh,
government. Mm-hmm.
have there been any like police witnesses or anyone that people quote unquote would deem credible?
No, not that I could find.
Mm-hmm.
Still some pretty interesting stories.
Yeah.
Some of them were a little out there, saying that maybe it wasn't the government that tested on them, but maybe local doctors or local scientists somewhere in Ohio.
That's too
And
dark. I don't even want that to.
mm-hmm,
I'd rather it be some freaky alien than
right.
humans being disgusting.
Right. So I initially thought alien too. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, those are aliens. Why would they call them Mellon Heads?
I mean, when you said melon heads, it kind of made me think of like those 90s Gushers commercial where the kid would like
Yeah.
eat the gusher and then have a giant like watermelon head or whatever.
I love that.
Mm-hmm. So, or like the
Yeah.
Cabbage Patch Kids, just something like kind of gross and big and weird.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that is a little odd.
Yeah.
I
Very
don't know what I
strange.
feel about that one. I mean, do you think it's just people, like they're saying?
I really think it's some creature from somewhere else.
Okay. Okay.
The more and more that I kept looking at pictures, some people were like, no, these are just people who have encephalitis. And I was like, why are they all congregating in one place? That makes no sense.
Maybe it's a convention.
Forever.
Forever. Do you have these pictures?
There were some that were online. There, a lot of them are just drawings.
Okay. Okay.
So
Gotcha.
yeah.
That's funny. Well, like the Mellon Heads is kind of making me think of these other creatures that are like really weird and bizarre. And I
Okay.
think we've talked about them before. It's the Fresno Nightwalkers.
Oh yeah.
I linked the video of them walking on our little doc here that we're looking at under surveillance video. If you want to click on that, you
Mhm.
can look at it. I feel like it's one of the funnest videos to watch. Like there's something super satisfying. It's basically a security footage camera. What year? I think it was 2013, I want to say. And it's just this weird, basically a walking pair of pants. It has no arms, no torso, no shoulders. It's just long motherfucking legs and a weird little head making its way across a field. And to me, it kind of looks like the legs are like the legs of like a weird stilt walker kind of thing, but there's way more mobility. It's not stiff like that. There's no way it's a human. No one's been able to like debunk this. And there's weird legends about creatures that actually are just a pair of legs with a head that go back 100 years, which was also really weird. The video is actually from California. I think, is it Napa, California? No, it's Fresno, California. They're the Fresno
Yeah.
Nightwalkers.
Yeah.
And so actually in that part of California, there are local legends of these spirit forests kind of things that would roam the night forests at night for decades. They only come out at night, never in the daytime. They're actually really hard to see. And the name, if you just utter the name Nightcrawler, something about it commands you to respect the forest. So they've been kind of looked at as a kind of a spirit forest who's a guardian. And the locals say that they just learned to coexist with the creature and that it arrived in the forest long before human beings. And to kind of back up the weird, not weird, but to back up like this whole legend and tie it all together, in 1931 in Blythe, California, an archaeologist discovered huge glyphs that could be seen from the air. And it was just the legs with a head. And it was just super weird. Like it all ties together. The glyph is about 160 feet long from head to toe. And so it sounds like it's just this weird guardian of the forest. But I love looking at it walk. I don't know what you think about this video.
I remember the first time I saw this, actually. I think it was older than 2013. I think this video was from older than that.
Maybe it was earlier 2000s, because then it says this
Yeah.
under YouTube. It says 2008.
Yeah. I'm thinking that. I remember when I saw it, I was like, what? No way. But I think there have been other videos. You said that too, that there have been other videos.
There was
out
at least 2 that I was able to find.
Mm-hmm,
One of them had
mm-hmm.
2 of them walking.
I think it's very strange. I like the story that you said about them.
Mm-hmm.
It is kind of this eerie little creature. I don't know. This one has always had me puzzled. Like, if it goes with the legend of it, that'd be pretty cool if they were just protecting the forest.
They're really weird. Like, how was a pair of legs going to protect the forest? It makes me think it has to have some sort of powers.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I can't explain what I'm seeing. And the weird thing about it is, like, everyone who's seen it, they kind of have this like instant thing where they fall in love with it. No one is scared of it. Like, the general consensus of the internet is like, oh, we love these things. They're like cute and friendly. Like, you can even buy like little plushies of them on Etsy and stuff.
Right.
They just look so benevolent. No.
Yeah, and non-threatening.
Yeah.
Non-threatening.
Non-threatening is a good word. So they're just really cute, and I don't think anyone's been able to debunk it. I don't know if you've heard anything about it getting debunked, but I wasn't able to find anything.
No, I've watched several things on them trying to debunk it. No one could actually do it because they thought, well, maybe it's just somebody in a weird suit, like a weird pantsuit.
Yeah. But the way it's moving, there's like no way.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm watching another video of one. This one is...
Is it the 2 of them?
Yeah, it's 2 of them. I think this one's in Poland. It's weird because it almost looks like they're walking like weird puppets.
Oh
like
my God.
Fabric.
Is it
I wonder if I can...
They're going downhill?
Yeah, they're going downhill.
Okay, yeah, I like this one better because there is 2 of them. I'm trying to find a good video of it right now. Once we'll link this below.
It looks like this one is faked though. Like, I don't know if somebody...
Oh, okay, I finally see it. They're moving so slow in this one.
They're very slow. Yeah.
This one does look like a stilt walker to me, but...
Right. That's what I thought too. Oh, I guess it's in Yosemite. I thought it was Poland.
It's creepy though, because who could actually do that?
Yeah. Now I'm going to watch the one in Poland. Interesting that they're not just in one area.
Right?
So I do think that that's cool.
Yeah, like weird pants creatures.
Okay, this one is fake. I'm just dubbing it. This one just looks like a guy in a sheet with the head tied like all the way over his head. What's this other one? This one is literally just human legs and an ass and nothing else.
I see that. Is it like a cute looking butt? Like,
yeah.
like they just erase the top half of a real human.
Yeah, I'm like, that's not it. Here's one with a still from a newscast, and it does look like something wooden is behind her. It's hard to say.
See how fun this is? Like, I love it when there's weird videos. You can just go down and down and down. I highly recommend looking up Fresno Alien Nightcrawler, and you'll be surprised at what you see.
Yeah, very cool. Thanks for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Last one on my list is the Honey Island Swamp Monster, which is in the Honey Island Swamp. It's in Louisiana. I think this town called Slidell. And the legend goes back on this monster hundreds of years. But the story that I'm going to tell you is from August of 1963. So this guy, Harlan Ford, he's a retired aircraft controller, and his friend Billy, they were out hunting, and they came upon a creature, and the creature was kind of hovering over a board that had ripped to shreds. And they noticed that the creature was hairy all over. It was about 7 feet tall, maybe about 400 pounds, really big teeth, and these amber colored eyes that when they looked at the eyes, it just shocked them and put them into fear mode. And the creature took off. So after it had left, I guess these guys must have already had this stuff with them, but they decided to take a cast of the footprint And they noticed that the footprint was different than anything they'd seen before. It looked like it had 4 toes. 3 of them were really long and thin, and the other one was kind of like a weird thumb claw, shorter than the rest. And they immediately noticed that they didn't believe that it was a Bigfoot, because it was nothing like any of the Bigfoot stories that we have here in the Northwest or anywhere else really in the world. There are some legends in the area. Native Americans have called this creature the Letiche. They say it eats meat. It can live in water and on land, so it lives like a double life. And they said that in their legends that this was just an abandoned human that was raised by alligators. And it takes on and that because it never shaves and it never takes care of itself, it doesn't live in society, that it just roams and goes and lives with the alligators and lives on land, comes up and eats. And I was like, okay. And then Cajuns in the area, the Cajuns call it the Lugaru, which is a werewolf.
I think I've heard of this.
Yeah, the Lugaru. And so it was interesting that the guys, they said it looked similar to a Bigfoot, but not.
Mm-hmm.
So they knew that it wasn't a typical Bigfoot creature. And with the way that the cast came out, it was very interesting. I'm going to link a picture.
Okay. So this is the foot?
Yeah, this is the foot. So see how it's got the 3 and then 1 off to the side.
It's really weird.
It's different than it's definitely not a Bigfoot creature, but it was hairy all over and had teeth like a wolf, but stood on 2 legs. So interesting. What do you think? I'm
curious to see something like that big, only having 3 toes, like supporting itself like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting.
I'm imagining that it walked strange. It probably walked strangely. They didn't mention that in here. In one of your other reports, it said that the way that they walked was like, you know how when your dog's trying to walk on 2 legs,
mm-hmm.
like weird.
And it has all the other characteristics of like these Bigfoots. And I've been noticing too, in all over, just even America alone, each kind of region has its own name for basically an anthropomorphic ape. And so it kind of just lends more credibility that there's just different types of these Bigfoot like guys out there, creatures. So I kind of would say I believe it, especially with these eyewitness testimonies and these castings. Like, why not? Like, if I'm going to believe in Bigfoot, why not believe these other people?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Makes me think, like, are they all just some sort of alien species that runs around America? And, like, are they the weird lights we're seeing?
Right. I get that.
Tying it all together. They're just aliens.
Maybe. Do you have one more story?
I do, and it's kind of like this. It's a version of like a Bigfoot. But this one is in Missouri. They call him Momo, the Missouri Monster. And I just like the name so much, I wanted to read about Momo. And so witnesses have claimed to see he's huge, hairy, hulking creature stalking the woods and a lot of country roads. And it's like I said, similar to Bigfoot from the Pacific Northwest. This one they think is a little more otherworldly. He also has glowing orange eyes. Didn't you say yours had orange eyes? Or amber.
Yep.
Yeah.
Amber colored.
Yeah. And a pumpkin-shaped head, which is kind of odd to me. 3 figured hands, so just like yours, and leaves these 3-toed footprints. And he's not really shy like Bigfoot. They say that Momo is really aggressive, and he's known for killing animals and antagonizing humans.
The honey one was like that too. The one that I had, they said that too. That it was extremely vicious.
So these guys have to be like cousins. I have one sighting from July 1971 from Joan Mills and Mary Ryan. They were driving along Highway 79 north of Louisiana. So that's near where your guy was. I mean, right north of Louisiana. And they saw the creature that made a disturbing gurgling noise, and the woman described him as half ape, half man, and a foul smell. So they're all very much the same.
Yes, yeah, they said the foul smell too. I just didn't mention that. Yeah, they said he stunk bad.
Yeah, which is what they say about Bigfoot all the time.
Mm-hmm.
There
Mm-hmm.
was the bigger sighting that took place a year after that incident. It was July 11th of 72. This 8-year-old, his name is Terry Harrison, and his 5-year-old brother Wally. They were playing in their backyard at the foot of Marzolf Hill on the outskirts of Louisiana. Their older sister Doris was inside the house when she heard her brother scream, so she looks out the bathroom window and she saw a black, hairy man-like creature standing by a tree. And to her, it looked like it was 6 or 7 feet tall. Its head directly atop its shoulders with no neck, and the face was pretty much invisible and covered by a mass of hair. And the kids reported basically that the creature was covered in streaks of blood and it carried a dead dog under its arm. So
Oh my
that
gosh.
definitely make me scream. I'd be so disturbed just seeing the dead dog alone.
Mm.
And then a local farmer actually reported his dog disappearing, and he had heard, not he, but a different neighbor had heard growling sounds that same afternoon.
Mm.
The children's father also heard growls that evening about 3 days later on July 14th, and a bunch of other people also just reported an unpleasant smell and odor as they were investigating the area for the creature. And then later in July 23rd of that year, so same month, St. Louis Post-Dispatch police sealed off 20 acres of wooded area, and 25 hunters searched for the creature. Like, people were taking it seriously. And because they believed it to be a black bear, though.
Mm-hmm.
And because the police were receiving reports of basically a creature crossing a highway with a dog or a sheep in its mouth. And another witness told police that the creature lifted the back of his automobile up. So this guy is going after people. And all these Bigfoot investigators actually swarmed Louisiana to try to find Momo, the monster. And there were all these interviews going on, and people were... The guys
What
were...
was that? Oh,
my phone, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And these Bigfoot investigators were actually taking plaster casts of the 3-toed footprints. So I think Momo and yours are probably like the same.
That has to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool, though.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I just texted you a picture of an action figure of Momo.
How did you find that so quickly?
I don't know. I just was like, oh, I want to see what this character looks like. So I thought I'd be quiet and do it on my phone. And there you go.
Okay.
So if you scroll down just a little bit,
He's got
and you
blood.
can tap on it. And, yeah, you can tap on it just like in your story. You said that streaks of blood.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my gosh, look.
He's kind of hot. He's got like a 4-pack, and he's got this weird like hair just covering his face, which gives him this air of mystery. Like, what's under there? What if he's like a really handsome man? It's like
Right.
It's just like Queer Eye when they go to this guy's house and he has this giant beard, and then they shave him in underneath, which is hot dad all along. Okay.
I love how in the action figure they covered up his junk by covering it with hair.
Yeah, he
like a lot.
He has this huge happy trail of hair. Momo. I'm gonna download that image for our Instagram. I don't know how I always make, like, I think the both of us always turn these weird cryptids into some sort of sexualized fantasy somehow.
We're like, oh, Momo.
I do want to say, though,
hilarious.
like, taking it back to Momo and my research, there was an investigation, the Bigfoot investigators that went down, they were a part of a UFO group as well, because, you know, us weirdos, we kind of like all the weird things and we research it both.
Mm-hmm.
But they had said that a lot of other Bigfoot sightings they would go and investigate, they were always tied to UFO sightings. But with Momo, there was never ever a correlation to UFOs whatsoever. So they felt like he was something like on a different level, like maybe more of the Earth.
Yeah. Which would explain the differences in the way that it looks.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that it's so much more vicious, because what if it is part alligator, so to say?
Yeah. And the investigators, well, to them, they kind of look like so they look at Momo as being nocturnal, and they think that maybe he migrates across the nation, basically from the Pacific Northwest to the Southwest. So they said that the path begins around Oregon and Washington and then crosses Oklahoma for the first week of September and then finishes in Florida. Like, they're basically looking at all of the sightings and tracking it into this migratory pattern.
Yeah, but how does he then get back to Oregon?
I don't know, man. We need to see their work, their research.
Yeah. So I thought it would be cool if we went over some theories about what is a cryptid.
Yeah, what could it be? Like, I think that there's a lot of questions, like, there's a lot of possibilities, and it's kind of fun to dissect each one. I agree. So did you want to start off like a possibility?
Sure. Let's say it's just an unknown species. It's just something that we just haven't discovered.
Yeah. Or even just like an ancient animal that's from our planet that somehow they're still here. We don't even know about. They're in small pockets of society kind of thing. Like, this is kind of taking away all the paranormal, just stripping it down to science. Because like we said, there's all these unknown creatures that we're finding all the time, and people have to go to these remote places. And we have sightings. Like, Momo got some crazy sightings. People saw him. So that means he is here, whether you want to deny it or not. Momo is real.
Right, exactly. Or, you know, it could be a situation where he's just a new species at the time that maybe he became a new species. I think of all the times that, like, every year's science journal or whatever puts out the new species that they found within the past year. And I can't believe not just insects, but they find tons of animals every year that they didn't know before.
Yeah, I agree. But it's always fun to like try to tie in all the paranormal stuff together when it does line up, especially in cases like the Owlman where there were a bunch of UFO sightings. So if we want to go more on the paranormal, like, brain side, because that's what we're here for, I think there's a lot of theories that we could potentially pin it to. Obviously, you could just say it's from another dimension. Like, they're just hard to find because they're phasing in and out. Especially with your, like, Mellon Heads, because they're only seen sometimes.
Only sometimes.
And Bigfoot.
Usually they only come out at night. Yeah, and Bigfoot usually only comes out when there's nobody there.
Right. We don't find bodies of these creatures of a giant pair of legs.
Right.
Speaking of the pair of legs in Fresno, that makes me think they could be like elementals, something more of a spiritual thing and not really of this world, and tying into maybe more magical way of thinking.
That'd be cool.
Although Momo is a murderer of dogs, so I don't know if he's really a guardian spirit, but maybe those Fresno guys are.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Another thing with aliens is I heard this theory recently that cryptids could be alien shapeshifters. So the reason why Bigfoot resembles either an ape or a bear is just because that's how it had to shape in order for us to recognize it, so we wouldn't feel completely threatened, but just threatened enough.
Oh God, that's so scary. That makes me think of like reptilians, because
exactly.
Yeah, if to them appearing as a pair of legs or an Owlman or whatever would be easier to just hide their identity, and just they're just playing mind games with us, like they were just so stupid we can't even like keep up with them, like some sort of Scooby-Doo monster. What are they doing with their shenanigans, and why are they hiding their form? What do you think they are?
I don't know. It kind of reminds me, last week you told the story about those black-eyed children that transformed into a reptilian. It's the same exact story. So I feel like all of these have the potential. I'm not saying that all aliens. Yeah, I'm not saying all aliens would be shapeshifters, but I feel like some of them are legit shapeshifters. If you think about, there's this, I wish I would have wrote the name down of it, but there's this specific octopus that can change its color, change its shape, and it's sort of newly discovered, but it can change itself into 3 or 4 different other amphibious animals.
It's really kind of ties together too to the folklore of just like, oh, people have the ability to change into owls, to change into werewolves. Like, what if it is just humanoids who have figured out some sort of occult power, or they themselves are other creatures living among us?
Right. Exactly.
Why not take it there? If you want to go even more nefarious and think otherworldly, there are people who do subscribe to demons. Momo, what if he's just a hairy demon? Like, when he comes, he brings this rotten flesh smell and like sulfur, like killing freaking beasts and dogs and grabbing at your car. Like, that kind of does sound like a demon, like something Hellboy would have to come and mess up.
Well, demon, alien, same thing in my book. But
demon, alien, angel, all one and the same.
All one and the same.
Yeah. So I think that is kind of all that came to my mind as far as possible outlooks, but I know I'm missing some. Do you have any other?
The only other one that I thought of was maybe like it was mistaken identity. So maybe the scientists could see it and be like, oh, that's really this animal that has already been discovered, but this is just a rare instance that it's here out in captivity for people to see. Or maybe it could be flipped on the other side of that. And a human was like, nah, you're wrong, scientist. That is not what you saw. Just like Mothman, they were saying it was that big crane bird.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, that was not a crane.
I know.
Of any kind.
I get so annoyed. I literally just watched the show Expedition X, and then the first episode was a Mothman episode, and it ends with them like saying it's just this crane, and I'm like, how dare you?
And like, just no.
Yeah,
just compare them. No. Right.
I find that to be like a real, especially like, it's one thing to say it could be, but it's another thing to say definitively that's all it is, and dismiss all these people and their experiences with the paranormal.
Right.
I wonder if I'll ever see a cryptid. Let's try to manifest that right now. I would like to see a cryptid, but not kill my dog. Can I manifest that specifically? Yeah.
You can.
Okay.
You can.
Okay.
I thought we were going to go searching for one in the summertime.
In the summertime. Yeah, baby. Let's go find Momo.
On the other side of Corona.
Let's go to Fresno. We can go to wine country
and
go find us some pants forest spirits. That's a little more my style. I don't think I want to be fighting anything.
I wouldn't mind going down to Joshua Tree and trying to,
get some UFOs.
Some UFOs, yeah. Or Mount Hood, even just going to Mount Hood and sitting out camping at night and just, summon some UFOs.
Yeah. We need to get some cameras just set up, or some drones of these high areas, and just have it live stream. Like, is there a Joshua Tree live stream for UFO footage? I wouldn't doubt it.
I think that, I don't know. You know what? Probably on Greer's page there would be. Stephen Greer.
Oh, yeah. All of this is always so fun to talk about because it opens up the imagination and the mind, and kind of is an escape into like the possibilities. And, I may have never seen anything like this, but I believe people who do, to a degree. There's always going to be this doubt in my mind, but I feel like the percentage of openness is really what counts here. And I think it's annoying when people just shut it down regardless. Like, I think you have to be a little bit open to even be able to perceive these kind of things.
Absolutely. It's just like UFOs, all of it, cryptids, UFOs, all the paranormal, ghosts, even magic. So if you can believe in magic, I'm sure you can get behind the belief of other things. What you call it is your choice.
I like the way you summed that up. Yeah. Well, should we wrap up this episode?
Yeah, let's do it. So don't forget to come and look at our website at cousinscoven.home.blog. Sign up for our newsletter. I know we have some new listeners, so I just want to say, first of all, thanks for listening. Our older archived episodes on that website that we've created, and we have our newer episodes through Podomatic. So if you're new to us, that's kind of how we're set up. We can't store it all in one place because it's expensive.
Yes.
And so that's why sometimes, like, I've got people who are like, hey, I can't find your episode. You're talking about this, but I can't find you. Don't forget to check out our merch. They're having a sale going on until the 24th of April. 15% off, you guys. Like, subscribe.
Yeah, you can always email us at cousinscoven2@gmail.com. If you do have any questions, definitely hit us up, guys. We'll be posting episodes every Wednesday, and we'll see you then.
Yeah, and may you find happiness in your heart, love for yourself, and join each other. Blessings to all.